Hi, everyone. Welcome to Build. I'm Ethan Alter, and our guest this afternoon is Corey Hawkins, star of the new Netflix action movie Six Underground. Michael Bay directed the globe-trotting shoot-'em-up, and it's filled with his usual mixture of big explosions, fast cars, and slow motion. And this time, there aren't any giant transforming robots in sight. Let's watch a clip.
How's it going over there?
You're really ruining my flow right now, you know that.
You got an issue. His movement, man.
We have 15 minutes.
It's time.
Hit it.
Hello, boys.
What if I told you, I know what happens when you die? You become a ghost.
No more criminal records.
No more office parties. Or stupid weddings.
The best part of being dead is the freedom. Not policies or politics.
No one touch. He's mine.
We answer to no one. You could take out some truly evil people.
He's stuck at the stairwell.
Guys, I got a bad idea.
Don't have bad ideas.
I have good ideas.
Was that a bad guy?
These people were declared dead.
None of us will be remembered.
What's about to happen will.
Good things when he raised the bad ones, right?
Who the hell are you?
We're no one.
If they exist, they can be made not to.
Bobby, they have fighter jets! You see that? Yes! You see that? Sorry for yelling.
Welcome to the world's biggest magnet.
Are you out of your mind?
Grenade!
I wasn't sure it would work. I mean, I wasn't sure. I had a suspicion, but this is all so fucking dangerous.
Put your hands together for Corey Hawkins, everyone. Welcome.
What's up, man? It's good to be here.
Now, you guys didn't see that at home, but you and I were just sitting here watching the trailer and saying, holy crap, that scene, and that scene, and that scene.
Yeah,
it's
man.
that kind of movie, just one thing after another. Classic Michael Bay that way.
It is bananas, man. I'm literally like, every time I see the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, we did do that. Oh, we did blow that up 30,000 times. It's like, it's the craziest thing. Man.
Right.
Michael Bay as Michael Bayist.
Yeah, I think when I saw the movie a few nights ago, and I was sort of thinking back on it. Like in this movie, you get to hang off a crane in Hong Kong. You get to race through the Hong Kong streets.
Yes.
You get to be on a magnetized boat in the Middle East. Like this is like the best vacation ever. It feels like.
Literally, man. We started in like Florence, which is like the most magical city you could ever be in. And I've been to Florence before, but like literally every time you go, you find something new. And that's where we all met for the first time, aside from doing a bunch of training and stuff before that. But that's where we started shooting for the first time. So like it is a globe-trotting, crazy, nuts film that people just have to watch it. You just got to like sit home and strap yourself in with a seatbelt and just watch this movie because it's nuts.
Now we now know what you get from a Michael Bay movie. You know what to expect. But what was the first backing up? What was the first Michael Bay movie you remember seeing? When did you first become aware of his brand of action?
It was The Rock, man.
Nice. Yep.
I was probably a baby. I don't know, but like why my mom let me watch The Rock, I don't know. But it was The Rock, and it was crazy because it was like the first time I really understood what Hollywood big budget action was, and it was crazy, man. It was like to have done that, to seen that, and then now be working with him on a film like this, where he gets to go nuts and do whatever he wants and has the freedom to do that. Netflix gave him the freedom to do that. It's crazy. I was pinching myself the entire time.
How does your expectation of him sort of jibe with reality? Like, you've seen his movies. What did you think when you met him for the first time? What was that like?
I was like, who are you, dude? like, we sat down and we talked about it, and he was like, it's going to be like this, and then it's going to be like that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just looking at him like, okay, all right, man, sign me up, man. And Ryan Reynolds and this incredible cast, like, I was like, let's go on this journey. But it took me about 5 hours to watch to read the script. I still don't know if I finished it.
It's just secondary. You don't need to worry about that, right?
I don't know, man. It was crazy. And then they had it like locked in a vault, so like you had to go and read it inside of a containment room. And they were peeking in and like, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, "Nah, man. It's I'm going back."
Now, is he the kind of director who tells you about the action scenes before the characters? Like was he telling you about all that before? It's like, oh, and by the way, you're playing this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't tell you about anything. Actually, he just he has this thing about him that which is the thing that makes him genius. Like Michael Bay it's like all in his head, and when it comes to communicating it, he does try. I'll give him credit for that, but the communication is like he has an editing room right there, and it's all real time. We would show up to set, and there was no order to the day. There was no like, he would just grab the camera and start going for it. I mean, there's levels to it, but for the most part, we had no clue what was happening and which explosions we were doing and what scene pieces. And one day we're in Hong Kong, and next day he was like, Corey, I'm thinking about going to Budapest and shooting this scene. And I was like, oh, dope. Like, let's go to Budapest. I was like, when? He was like, about like 2 hours. So are you, I was like,
your passport.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Literally, I'm like, what? And he was like, no, I'm serious. Just we're going to hop on the plane and we're running through the streets. And he's just like, we're in the middle of this train station. And Michael Bay has these huge goggles on and like ski goggles. It's not snowing outside. I don't know why he wears them, but they're amazing. It was just bananas, man.
Well, let's talk through just like a scene as an example of like how he directs. So like the crane scene in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You're there. You're on a crane. You're being sniper shooting at an apartment where you're trying to bust out like the brother of a tyrant, of a global tyrant. Basically, is the setup. So you're there. You're shooting at things. How does he direct you through that scene? What is his direction?
So we'll walk over. And when you get to set, that whole piece took place in Calatrava. So that the Hong Kong building and set and the pool that you see in the trailer, that was all built. And I was just like, can I keep this? Like, can I come back and live here when we finish this movie? Like every floor of everything was built. The sky cranes, those were all, everything was planned out. Like that's the other part of it, is that he has an incredible crew and team that he works with. And when you get there, they can kind of sort of walk you through the bayham of it all. But we'll go over, we'll talk about the safety, see if you're comfortable doing it. He really doesn't care if you're comfortable or not, because he wants you to do it anyway, because, the camera's on you. And then he puts me up inside of this, like, tiny crane. I was like, dude, I can't fit in there. He's like, we'll make it work. We'll make it. I'm like, okay, sure. So I'm sliding up in there, and we walk through the choreography of it a little bit. But sometimes, like, you're up there on the crane and they control it, and like, Michael in his head, he's talking to the crane operator, and you don't know because I'm up there 1,000 feet in the air or whatever, and he's like, all right, now move the crane this way, and I'm like, what the is going on, dude? Like, it's just it's bananas. And then he'll be like, take a shot. You see this? Say this. Say that. Say this. Say that. It's madness.
Right.
It's madness. And I ask the guys, the people, again, an amazing crew, group of people, but he has the same people who work with him over and over and over.
Right.
And you get there and you're like, I don't know how y'all do this. Like, why do you come back? But now I know. Like after doing it and seeing the movie and seeing what and feeling the ride that you go on, there is nothing like it, man.
Right.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah, coming out on the other end, you're like, everything sort of is worth because you see what it all looks like, piece together. Maybe in the moment you're like, I don't understand this, but then you see it, you're like, oh, this is what it looked like the whole time.
That's what was in his head when he was like, and boom, bam, go, boom, move. And he'll grab the camera, he'll grab microphones, he'll grab, the catering truck. Like he's doing everything on set.
How about for scenes like there's a scene in a quiet scene in a noodle shop earlier in the movie? Like, is he directing the same way then? Like there, you're all just sort of sitting around talking, but I still feel like behind the camera he's like yelling at you to do stuff.
Yeah, that was fun, man. We were it was a sort of noodle shop scene where you get to see these individuals, these characters, and they are like a family, and it's about sort of finding that together and those quirks. But Michael just kind of let us go with that. I think that was fun, and that's also the genius of Ryan Reynolds is that like he saw one of our amazing, he had the greatest background actors on this movie, and he saw him sitting over there with this shirt that said, "It's Britney." And,
right, yes.
and it was just a shirt the dude chose to wear that day to set. And Ryan was like, "You want to be in the scene? Like, why don't you just sit like right here in between us while we're talking about this incredibly, confidential mission that we're going on?" And it works. It's just magic. You know what I mean? And Michael just sort of sits back and like lets us go. Sometimes he's really on it, but like most of the time he just wants to see what it's about casting the right group of people,
getting what you come up with. Well, and your character in the movie is interesting because you really go toe to toe with Ryan Reynolds, who sort of plays the person who assembles this A team, if you will. And like gets everyone together. I think everyone else is sort of paired off, but it's you two are the pair, like because you challenge him on how he does things, how he conducts the operation. Like no names are allowed, and you're like, no, we need names, or don't leave people behind. So you really push back on him, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's right. I play a character. His name is he goes by Seven because he's not allowed to have a name. They're not allowed to call each other by names or even know each other's names. And he's a Delta Force operator. He's a sniper, and he's the best of the best. And one has this thing where he finds these characters at the lowest of their lows. And so, he finds Seven, and Seven joins the team. But it's not a team in the sense that Seven understands teamwork and family to be because of his military background. And he does challenge one in that way. It gets pretty testy, but they find a respect for it. And I think over the course of the film, by the end of the movie, they understand each other. You know what I mean? They understand that you need family. Right. It's not about erasing your past. It's about sort of finding that in each other. And so yeah, man, that was it got pretty contentious between me and him.
Well, as you said, like Ryan Reynolds liked to make stuff up in the moment, as we saw in the noodle shop and stuff. So, what's that like as an actor? I mean, did he ever come at you with something you just didn't expect, and you're like, what do I do now? Or were you like what's a scene that we might see where you were like, all right, I'm firing right back at you?
There's a scene when you watch the movie, the scene in the power plant. I don't want to really give it away, but like the scene in the power plant. We take on like these new accents, and he has this crazy accent that he's doing. And he's talking to this guy, and we're trying to get in there because it's part of the mission. And 3 is in his ear, like giving him intel and stuff like that. And then she gives him wrong intel. And then and Ryan is just so quick with it. Like he was just on the fly, dude. And the thing he's just everything he said, like it ended up making the movie, but it's just the most ridiculous line that I've ever heard in a film before. And I'm sitting there and my face says it all because I'm like, where the hell do you come up with these things? But working with him, man, is like he's number one on the call sheet, but he's also one in the film. And he protected us, man. He kept us sane throughout the 6 months of going through this and going through different countries. Ryan was like a big brother, for us. And he held it down. He held it down. He brings all of the humor, and then he's just an incredible sort of action star in this as well. and human, just very human, man. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice he gave you on set, if there's anything like that, or a moment that you remember?
The best piece of advice Ryan would give us is like, I don't know, man. We just kind of roll with the flow. Right. I don't think Ryan would even say that he gave us advice because he didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Don't do this.
He was like, what the hell we were doing half the time. So like, we'd all just be in it together, and he'd be like, yeah, if Michael says do that, just do it and see what happens, Like, it was bananas, man. But we knew that like if he's going 100%, then we had to go 100%. And I think that's the thing that kept us, on the path.
So now this debuts on Friday, but there's another big thing that dropped this week, which is the In the Heights trailer. And you're a part of Lin-Manuel Miranda's the first big screen movie based on one of his hits. The trailer's great. It looks fantastic. I was at an event last night where you got to premiere it, and you everyone on stage talked about how it was like the best summer of your life.
Oh my God.
Shooting that movie. What can you tell us about? What made it such a great summer?
It was. I mean, we got to release that, and that was last night. That was Uptown. In the Heights, and that's the great part about it is the movie is such a it's such a film about family and finding home and what home means to each of you, and that's why I think it appeals to so many people. And the music, for me, it was the first musical that I ever saw when I came here for school in New York, and it was what I thought musicals were like. I didn't know the classics. I didn't know the Sondheims and all of that yet. I knew Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I knew Kiara's words, and I knew this music and this story. I mean, shooting that over this past summer was just incredible, man. John Chu was just so collaborative with us, and nobody knew what it would be. He told us that in the beginning. He was just like, we're gonna ask you guys to do some crazy things. It may not end up being that way. We're gonna, you might be. I don't want to give it away, but like it's a special film, and you can feel it when you watch the trailer. Very different from Six Underground.
Yes, I can imagine.
It's not, but in a very different process. We knew exactly what we were doing every day we came to set. But it was, but again, it's interesting because the similarity is it is both about finding family and finding each other. And but In the Heights is going to be the movie of the summer, I think. And just it has worldwide appeal, and you watch the trailer and you just fall in love with it, with the characters.
Well, one thing that jumped out to me interestingly, like the Broadway show was written in 2008, set then. It looks like the movie is acknowledging present day events because there's a reference to, for example, to the Dreamers. They're kicking the Dreamers out. Is that something that you've incorporated in the movie? The idea of the Dreamers Act being expelled potentially by President Trump.
Absolutely. Yeah. And unafraid to speak to the truth. You know what I mean? In the Latino community uptown. And I play Benny, who is he's a black guy, but who lives in the Heights. And for him, that's home, Right. That's all he knows. He grew up there. And so to be able to rock with them throughout that. And then, the other characters are sort of trying to searching outside of the Heights for home. They're like, thinking about leaving, and sort of Benny is like that anchor. He's like, no, like this is, sort of reminding everybody that this is the heart. This is where we come from. Yeah, man, it was absolutely bananas.
Lin-Manuel Miranda has been critical of Trump on Twitter and things, and he memorably spoke to Vice President Pence at the Hamilton that one time. So are there explicit references to the government in the movie? Is that something that...
I don't know if it's explicit references to the, certain people, or, but it definitely speaks to the movement. It speaks to the dreamers. It speaks to possibility. It speaks to, it just lays in love and compassion and empathy in a way that I think we all know. It's just hard to see because it's so much going on right now. It's so, politically, but it cuts through the noise. Right. You know what I mean? And Lynn and Kiara are just experts at that, at being able to, it's not didactic, it's not teaching, it's not trying to hit a nail on the head and hit it on the nose. It's the truth. It's what's really happening right now. It's what's really happening uptown in the Heights. It's people being moved out, people, not being allowed in. It's it's the truth, and art imitates life, and I think that's their genius. I get emotional every time I think about and watch the film, watch the trailer, anytime I listen to the music, and that's why I wanted to do it. It's so different. I've never sang before on film. You know what I mean? I've never danced before on film, but I trusted this message and this story and my cast, to just get it. We just had to get it done, and we owed it to ourselves, we owed it to the community, and each other to make this story happen.
Something that John Chu said last night really stuck with me. He said this movie is a beautiful seed that he hopes will, sprout in people's minds. And I just, again, watching the trailer, it really felt that way for me.
That's all it is, right? Like it's as actors, you pick projects and things to do and but that all we can do is just plant the seed, you can just lay it there and let people sort of take from it what they will. You can't stuff it down people's throats. You can't you just have to allow the work to do and speak and say what it does. And, again, you watch the trailer and you feel it, it just oozes out. And, but that's our responsibility, is to plant the seed. Yeah. And I hope we do. I hope we did that with this movie, because man, it was tough. It was tough.
Well, Benny was originated on stage by Christopher Jackson.
Yes.
Who's also in Hamilton. Did you talk to him at all about the part?
I knew Chris before, but he kind of, I got to. He let me do my thing, you know what I mean. But Chris also, they were. I would just say they were. He was on set, so. You may or may not get to see him there, but it was just cool having them all around. Like, they all came to visit us and brought the spirit. Olga, who was the original abuela, Abuela Claudia, she's in the film with us too. So and I got to see her originally on Broadway, so that was cool. Just the spirit, some of the tour cast came back, and a lot of them are singing on the soundtrack as well. It was just incredibly collaborative. But those were huge shoes to fill, Chris's shoes, because he's such an iconic Benny. But it was a joy, man. It was a joy. My feet hurt the entire summer, but it was fun, man.
What can you tell us about your first recording session when you will have the soundtrack out? You'll be on it. What was your first take like? Did you nail it right away, or
hell no, man. I was so nervous. I was sweating bullets, man. I was just like, I grew up singing, but in a recording fashion, that's all really new to me. And Leslie Grace is a superstar. It's she's already done it. And so for me, this was her first film though. So we were sharing just information about how to get through it. But in the studio, you look out in the booth and it's like Lynn's sitting right there and you're singing his music for the first time in all these years, and something that's going to last forever on film. And sometimes, I do my thing. Lynn's like, just do your thing, man. In this part, I let Chris do his thing there. Just why don't you find it and let it be yours? And then sometimes he'd be like, Corey, can you just please sing the music? Please sing what I wrote.
You made him
like,
angry?
You ain't like that?
He's never angry. Come on.
No, in the nicest way. Nicest way. He'd be like, this is what I wrote, But he wrote it for a reason, because the music tells a story. Every note, every line, it's amazing in that way. And so being able to do that, and then sometimes he would do this thing where he's so connected to the fans, and some of the lyrics in the songs, he would do a Twitter poll in the moment while we were in the studio and see what the fans thought we should switch the lyric to. And they would respond, and he'd be like, okay, this is this. And then, okay, well, why don't you do that? And just having that was just amazing, man. John would be in there with us, but also being able to lean on Leslie, because she helped me through that process a lot. And but I think we got something really beautiful out of it.
I can't wait to see it. We're going to kick it to the audience in just a second, but I had to ask really quickly.
Yep.
You are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You had a small part in Iron Man 3. So I need to ask this. What do you think happened to your Navy OP when Thanos snapped his fingers? Do you think he turned to dust, or did he survive the snapshot?
I'll say he might have turned to dust.
Okay.
and then reappeared in Six Underground.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it.
He was like, I'm a Delta Force operator now, and you know.
I don't need the Avengers anymore. I've got Six Underground.
Exactly.
The Avengers, who are they? I don't need
Exactly.
them. All right, let's turn it over to the audience for some questions.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good.
If you could be in any other movie musical adaptation, what would it be?
Oh man, movie musical adaptation. I don't know.
Hamilton.
That's actually a really good idea, man. And I know Lynn is obviously, hopefully, you know, thinking about that. And if he could be thinking about me with that, that'd be great. I'd do anything with Lynn again. Like I loved it. And but Hamilton would be really cool. I think that's where I first met Lynn. I went to see Hamilton and got to go meet him backstage. And I was like, I couldn't. I was just such a fan, man. So yeah, maybe Hamilton. Yeah.
What role can we answer?
Ooh. Chris would be mad if I said George Washington. So
That's going to be your thing. You're going to follow him around.
I
like
just love doing all of the stuff that he does. I'm such a fan of his, man.
Let's see, another question.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I was just wondering if you have any other dream collaborators.
Oh, man, so many, man. God, The Irishman I just saw on Netflix as well. Scorsese, that would be a dream. You know what I mean? I've always been a fan. There's a lot of Cary Fukunaga, like just so many, dude. I could literally go down the list, but I guess for me, it's just about finding directors who sort of and new and upcoming directors too. Because I think we sometimes look to like the great directors, and we forget like some of our peers are just outstanding directors as well. So like I don't know, man. We'll see what happens next, but yeah.
Excellent. And do we have one more question? Nope. All right, we're good. Well, I guess one director who I'd love to see work with, I don't know if you've seen it, but the new film Clemency with Alfred Woodard is really terrific, and that director is up and coming.
Yes. I can't wait to watch that film. I'm gonna watch it when I get back to LA. But Alfre's amazing too. Yeah. I would love to work with her.
Excellent, great. And again, Six Underground. Is there a chance of? Have you heard any inklings of this could become a franchise? It seems like it's an ongoing thing.
I've heard some inklings, man. Okay. Let's see how everybody reacts to it. But if people react to it the way I think they will, I think we might be seeing another one coming up.
7 Underground.
Yeah, man. Get an 8 and a 9 in there, and
exactly. Just keep going.
Yeah, but I'm excited for people to catch it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming in today. 6 Underground debuts on Netflix on this Friday. Tune in, watch it then. Corey Hawkins, thanks so much for coming in.
Appreciate it, y'all. Thank you
In the
so
Heights
much.
next summer.
Yep, 2020. Thank you.